Hi, my name is Erin Todd. I'm a singer-songwriter based in Glasgow and I'm originally from Edinburgh.
I'm Rhiannon and I'm here for Radio Cali and I'm going to be with the wonderful Erin Todd. How are you today, Erin?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So you were originally based in Edinburgh, weren't you? And now you've like moved up to Glasgow. Was that purely a music decision?
Yeah, so I was studied in Edinburgh and graduated 2011 and at the time my friend who was still studying in Glasgow, they had a room come up in their flat and I'd been brought up in Edinburgh and done a lot of the kind of music circuit through there, knew that I wanted to take it a lot more seriously and had always heard great things about the Glasgow scene, so just kind of heard a room come up, thought, you know, it's meant to be and just went for it.
Brilliant. And what have been like the main differences or comparisons between the Edinburgh music scene and the Glasgow one?
I think there's a big difference that Edinburgh has like quite a few niches that they do really well in. Like there's a really good jazz scene, there's a lot of kind of acoustic singer-songwriters, and then there's also like a lot of like unders, like bands under 18 do really well in Edinburgh. But then I think like anything in between, it's not that the Edinburgh crowds don't support it, but I think whereas in Glasgow you can walk into a music venue or a bar and you're always going to see something completely different. And just the Glasgow crowds as well, like I remember my first few gigs just being like, wow, people talk back to you. Whereas now when I go back, I was playing in Edinburgh last week and it's just so quiet, like at the end of songs, and people are quite reserved. But it's lovely, it's like a, it's a complete contrast and it gives you, different audiences wherever you go. But yeah, it's quite different here.
Sounds great. So you released your second EP late last year, wasn't it?
It was. My second EP was just in May.
Oh right,
in May this year.
And it's called Perspective.
Yes.
And it's basically like it's kind of just you and your guitar. Was that something that you strived for, that kind of simplicity on that album?
Yeah, basically the first EP had a couple of, I think one band song, one song with piano, one with guitar. And the idea of this one was I literally just wanted to go into a studio, book like 3 sessions and do it live and then overdub backing vocals, percussion, like other guitar parts, and it got this kind of raw live sound, which is what I'd always wanted. And I'd always kind of had people who bought the previous EP would say to me that after they'd bought it but they'd seen me live, they said they thought I sounded better live than I did on the CD, which was, it was a really nice compliment. So I think that was what kind of gave me the idea to do quite a lot of the groundwork, both guitar and vocal recording at the same time rather than track it instrument by instrument, and I was quite pleased with, I was very pleased with how it turned out. So
great. And is there about 50 copies left, I think?
I think yes,
and like on a pure like girly like artsy note, it's like done in like handwritten, the track lists and stuff. Is that another kind of technique that you kind of want to connect with fans on a more personal basis?
Yeah, definitely. Like the first EP had about 300 printed up, sent away to a kind of printing plant, CDs all printed up. And this time I had a really good friend, Lewis Rumney, kindly he kind of had a printer that can print onto CDs, so we did all the 100 CDs that way. And then I basically just got, if you just think of the CDs you get from like the newspapers, I just basically tore one apart, made a master template, and then just made 100 of them in the kind of navy card that you see, cut them up and stuck them together and wrote on them, which took a long time, but it's so worth it, and people, they buy it and it's marked on the front 1 off 100, 1 off 50,
really
50 off 100, sorry, and so people know they've got an individual copy, and they're all quite different. Like some of them they have a smudge on them, or like I was getting a bit tired, so they're even slightly bigger, but they've got that kind of unique.
Right, that's brilliant. The media always have like a tendency of kind of comparing women, like singers, like acoustic players, to each other. Have you had any comparisons, and like how do you feel about comparing? Like,
I mean, I think. Like I'm trying to think of the people I have been compared to. I've had Katie Tunstall a couple of times. I think it is just if you kind of play more strummy stuff, foot stomping and singing. But she's actually, I absolutely love her stuff. Big fan of hers, so that's a great compliment. And it's always when you ask this question you can't remember who people have said. But I have had a few others that I can't quite remember. I had Annie Lennox a few months ago, which was the best, best compliment, like for how you said vocal wise. But no, it's always a compliment. Unless I don't know the artist, I'll maybe seek out and listen to them. I had Suzanne Vega once, who I had actually heard of at the time, and then listened and was like, oh, that's really cool. But no, I think most of the time it's a compliment, because you know, these musicians are out there, they're working, they're doing it for their living, and obviously it's more mainstream, and because I do it for a living as well, but it's, you know, they're very recognised, so it's always going to be quite a compliment.
Right. Do you think that there's almost like kind of a like automatic female, maybe not prejudice, but like a preconceived idea about women in the music industry?
I can. Do you mean in terms of they should, you know, fit a certain mold?
Yeah, like maybe like, you know how Jake Bugg, he kind of didn't, like, he can just go to the top and whatever, and but if you're a woman, I don't know, I think it kind of seems a little bit more, because you're kind of put like pigeonholed, being like compared to people and stuff like that. Do you think there's any of that? I think
it's always going to be a little bit more difficult. There's definitely no less female musicians in terms of instrumentalists and things, so I think we do have to, you know, strive that a wee bit more to maybe get noticed and get recognised. But I think in terms of I do understand what you're saying. I think just from the start you kind of have to be clear, you know, who you are as an artist, what you're doing, and you know, not let anyone sway you or try and mould you or try and put you in that box. And I've always been like quite a strong believer, just, you know, be who you are, do what you're doing, and as well, don't, you know, let it rely too heavily on an image. You know, make it, let it be the sound, and your sound should evolve rather than your image and your sound. Because I can see what you're saying. A lot of female artists might be more kind of trying to sway to look a certain way. But
yeah. Okay. So the festival season is just over. Was there anyone that kind of stuck out to you that you think is going to be big for the end of 2013, maybe start of 2014, or anyone just in general that really inspired you that you saw?
2013. My goodness, there's a lot of people. I actually just on Sunday I've been to a lot of gigs and collected a lot of music, and so I was listening to a lot of the CDs that I had got. And someone, he's been doing well for a while, but finally just got his album, Rory Butler, who I think is just magnificent. He's like a modern day Nick Drake. You can just put his CD on and he's just fantastic. I've seen him live though. I think I would highly recommend, if you can see him live, go and see him live. His CD's brilliant, but you just need to see him. He's very good. I see Rory Butler, and he plays with a band, the Jellyman's Daughter, last week, who I kind of knew from the music scene in Edinburgh. But they are just fantastic. It's a duo, two singers, male vocal, female vocal, a cello, and an acoustic guitar, very kind of bluegrass, beautiful harmonies, just stunning as well. I just highly recommend them.
And finally, what's next for you? What are your plans?
So I'm writing an album at the minute. It's something I was kind of started to do in 2011, and it was kind of a uni project, and I felt like I was trying to match criteria and, you know, tick boxes, and I kind of tracked a lot of stuff, but wasn't happy with what I'd done in the end. I was happy enough to kind of submit it, but, you know, for uni purposes, but never to release it. So I'm now just basically writing, demoing lots of new songs, and trying to get an album together. Hopefully for release next year, and try and get a tour on the back of that, and try and get over to Europe as well. That's something I've always wanted to do. So I think 2014 should be the year to try and get all that stuff together.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. Thanks very much.